Welcome into episode 18 of the Bleav in Twins podcast. I am your host, Anders Pryor, alongside my Eastern Standard Time bound co-host and analyst, Zac Tipton, bright and early on 11/11 of all times to open up the show. Zac, how are you? How's Florida?
Florida is fantastic. Just finishing up my trip here, leaving pretty soon to head to the airport side of Orlando and just enjoying the day. But got to be on here because Anders, it is the first day of the postseason of
Happy
baseball.
October. Happy October.
Happy October.
In a way, it's always for essentially any kind of playoff format. There is some. My favorite day of it is usually like whatever, like the final iteration of it is, like Super Bowl or World Series, whatever. But there is something nice about like the first day of the postseason of a sport where it's just like your entire day is just filled with like playoff whatever, and like you get to like really scratch that itch kind of in full force right away. There's something always nice about that. We have 4 games today, so
Yeah, no, it really is. I love it. Sad that the Twins are not in it, obviously, but it's gonna be an exciting. It's gonna be an exciting day. It's gonna be an exciting postseason. It's a very interesting postseason in my mind in terms of there's a lot of teams on here that weren't like mid-season weren't really thought of as playoff contenders mid-season.
right.
I mean, you got the Tigers, who definitely were considered by a lot of people postseason contenders. You have
Yep.
the Astros, who started off the season absolutely terribly.
Mhm.
A lot of people counted the Astros out pretty early in the season with how bad they started the year.
Guilty.
And so the Astros are another one, and then you have teams like the Mets and the Braves, who when Ronald Acuna got hurt, their season would be over pretty much as well. The Mets and Braves both make it, and then of course you have, and then everyone else I'd say pretty much kind of knew was going to be in it. But
Yeah.
I mean, to have this many teams that kind of started the year off pretty poorly, just there is pretty exciting. It's gonna make it pretty interesting.
No, it's really fun when you get to like the last series of a season and there are still like multiple spots open.
Absolutely, and
literally,
that doubleheader last night was just insane. The Braves going wire to wire in that second game and just pulling that off is pretty unreal. And I feel bad for the D-backs because they just kind of sit and watch as their playoff hopes just dwindle down. And then that 2-run single by I think it was Urshela that had the 2-run single last night.
Yeah.
Late in that game, gave the Braves a 3-0 lead heading into the ninth. You kind of just knew the Diamondbacks were out of it. And as somebody that follows a lot of Diamondback sports media, because I worked in the Arizona sports media for a while, I saw a lot of it. I saw a lot of the Diamondbacks podcasts and Diamondback shows getting really upset about how that season was ending. And yeah, so it's frustrating. But with that being said, we are in the playoffs now.
We have some fortune telling to do.
And so let's just get started right into it. I mean, let's just jump into it. So Anders is going to write these down for us, and then I'm going to make a graphic to post to our socials tonight when I get home back to Arizona. But Anders, let's just start this right off here with this first series. Tigers in Houston for the wild card series. And I'll let you go first on this one. What are your thoughts on this series? And just, do you think the Tigers' momentum is enough to carry them over one of the deadliest playoff teams in recent memory?
So I'm going to make the selection for the Astros to win the series, although I do think that So I think the Tigers are, that game starts in about 3 hours. I think the Tigers are going to win today with Skubal. I do think that the momentum going through there, I think he'll take them kind of to a victory over Valdez, but I do think that the Astros are going to take this in 3 games, of course.
I
Just
agree. I think
more kind of just consistent over the entirety of the year. They have I think at times the bottom of the lineup I was really sketched out by. I think it was sort of being overvalued by association of just being in the same kind of bit as the top, but I do it's kind of rounded out a little bit, and so I'll take the Astros in 3, but I'll take the Tigers to win this first game.
it's tough for me right now because I think momentum plays a huge part in the postseason, and I think right now the Tigers have all of it.
Right.
And what they did to come back from basically being dead to rights about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, to coming back and making the playoffs is incredible, and it deserves a lot of hype. And AJ Hinch knows how to coach in the playoffs.
Yep.
Manage in the playoffs. So I'm gonna take the Tigers in 3 here. Actually, do I take them in 3 or do I take them in 2? I'm gonna take them in 2. I think because I think if they lose game 2, I think the Astros win the series. So I'm gonna take them in 2. I think that's the only way they win is if they win both games quick and get it over. So I'm gonna take the Tigers in 2, which is very hard for me to do, and I might be very wrong about that. I'm gonna do that. Moving on to we'll stick in the AL. We'll stick in the AL.
Yeah.
And we will go to the matchup of 2 teams that for the last month and a half were pretty much in free fall.
Right.
I mean, the exact opposite of the other series in this thing. I mean, the Royals in Baltimore have been 2 of the worst teams in baseball this past month. The Royals in Baltimore have. So now you're playing against each other. And I know Orioles fans are really happy to get the Royals in Baltimore because of how bad the Royals have looked recently. But the Orioles have looked bad too. Their pitching is abysmal. And besides Corbin Burns, their starting rotation is pretty iffy.
Mm-hmm.
Anders, your thoughts on this series, and your thoughts on what does they're both in free fall.
Yeah.
Is this kind of just who gets to lose in the next round matchup?
I'm gonna take this is gonna be Royals in 2 for me. I think offensively these teams are about comparable if you just look at like their offensive rankings on things, and if you look at just sort of kind of collective production and even like their dips in production in the past month that you've kind of talked about, like they're pretty adjacent to each other. But these are, not only would I say that, assuming that it is, let's say that we're assuming that all 3 games are going to be played anyway, the 1-2 and the 1-2-3 from a starting pitching perspective for Kansas City, I think is leaps and bounds better than what obviously Burns has the edge. I'm assuming, if I'm looking correctly, that it is going to be Reagan's that's going to be going today.
I assume Reagan starts game 1.
I am going to quickly fact check that, but it is going. Yes, it's going to be Reagan's today. So Burns will have the slight edge there, but then being able to go, Reagan's and then obviously Singer and Lugo, to me, that's a much more kind of fleshed out and reliable 1-2-3 than what you're getting with Burns and then Eflin and Kramer. And not only would I trust Kansas City's pitching more, but you got to bear in mind too that these are two very, again, I'm projecting 3 games here. These are 2 very pitcher friendly ballparks, and so that plays into an even stronger, that factor becomes even more important. And in terms of the bullpen,
going to the Royals ballpark at all though at all either.
Sorry?
So it's you don't play in the Royals ballpark at all. This is only going to be in Camden Yards.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, excuse me. I apologize. So remember, yes. Thank you, Zach. But in Camden, it's not as pitcher friendly as Kauffman, but it is still kind of leaning to that side, and so I'm I'm projecting this in 2 games because I don't, because the bullpen as well, that also becomes more important in this kind of environment. And the bullpen for Kansas City, I would say top to bottom is average. Urseg kind of bolsters it a little bit versus the Orioles bullpen was average, and in the past 2 months has been bad. Currently 23rd in ERA on the year, and so I just think that the atmosphere they're going to be in with 2 kind of comparable offenses, the pitching is going to be better, and I think that Kansas City has the advantage both in starting and bullpen. So I'm going to take them to get this done quickly in 2 games.
I'm going to say Royals in 3.
Okay.
Simply because I don't believe Reagans is better than Burns, and I think Burns can carry the Orioles to a win in Game 1. However, I do agree that Lugo and Zinger are better 2-3s than Eflin and Kramer. So I'm going to say Royals in 3, and that pains me because I am cheering for the Orioles in this postseason.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to go Royals in 3.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
That is that. And now, Anders, we head over to the NL, where we get these Mets versus the Milwaukee Brewers in a 6-3 matchup. And man, this is hard. I don't know a ton about either of these teams, to be completely honest with you.
This is the toughest series to call, I think.
I just don't know anything about the Brewers this year. I feel like they've been good, but I don't know much about them. And so for me personally, I'm gonna take the 3 seed here. I think that's just the safe pick. For me, I'm gonna say Brewers in 2 over the Mets here. I don't know if I like that at all, but I'm gonna say that. So I'm gonna go Brewers in 2.
I'm gonna pick the Brewers. I'm kind of thinking out loud right now, like what I want it to look like 2 or 3. I think it's really tricky. I think starting pitching wise,
the issue also is to me also, and I want to point this out.
Yeah,
the Mets used every single one of their best pitchers yesterday.
That is true. Yeah.
Like every single one of their pitchers. I think Ottavino pitched twice yesterday. So for me personally, the Mets have no pitching. Their top 2 guys are out. Their top 2 guys are going to go out for the series. So I'm going to go.
Severino is going today. He was going to go yesterday in the second game had the Mets lost the first game. And then from there,
and he's playing Freddie Peralta in Game 1.
Right. So I'm gonna pick the Brewers too. I think. I think I want to say I'm gonna say Brewers in 3 because I do think that obviously like Pat Murphy, I feel like manages his bullpen really well. The bullpen, this is the biggest to me I don't know if you have a disagreement here, Zach, but this to me is the biggest bullpen kind of disparity in the wild card round by a pretty long way. Going from
Yeah, no, the
Mets.
Brewers bullpen is so insane.
It's no, so and in their ballpark they'll be able to take advantage of that really well. I do think I want to say 3 though, because I do think, because you are right in that momentum is legitimate, and I do think that the Mets are going to have one game where, and I don't know if it'll be today against Peralta. I'm not sure who they would put out tomorrow, or the next game, excuse me. But I do think that the Mets will have like one game where they score like 8 or 10 runs. Because kind of, they have this tendency where like the top of their order can all kind of get hot at the same time. But I'm going to take Brewers in 2 just because of the bullpen disparity. And I also just think that they're going to be there. It's guaranteed to be Brewers 1-0 today by the end of today. So I don't think the Mets can win 2 games in a row against this bullpen. I understand that the offense has a lot of momentum. I don't think that it's quite at like that top 5 level that you need against Devin Williams and company. So
I'm going to do something I don't usually do, but because we're here, I'm going to do it. I'm going back to something I said earlier. I'm going to switch a pick.
okay.
I am taking Astros in 3.
Okay.
I don't want to do it, but they are like a really good playoff team. They always have been. They know how to win in the playoffs. And I just think the Astros are going to win. I can't pick against the Astros. So I'm going to take the Astros in 3. So that's my switch. Sorry, I had to make that quick change. I did like that move. Now moving on to Atlanta.
Wait, are you doing? I forget. Are you doing Brewers in 3 or Brewers in 2?
Brewers in 2.
Brewers in 2. Okay, I'm gonna do Brewers in 3. Okay.
I'm gonna take, and now we're going to the last series of wild card, which is Braves at Padres
Yep.
In Petco. I'm very excited about this one a lot, but for the same reason that I chose Brewers in 2, I'm going Padres in 2 here.
I'm also going to go Padres in 2.
The Braves aren't like exciting to me this year, and also they just don't have the staff. Raisel Iglesias is going to be out this game. Chris Sale might be out this game because he had back spasms. I don't know if he's back yet.
Yeah, they're listed as TBD for pitching right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Padres here in 2 as well.
It's very the bullpen for San Diego has obviously it got like hyper juiced kind of post deadline with Adam being added and with Scott being added. Excuse me. And so I do think that pound for pound, the San Diego bullpen can match up with the Atlanta bullpen, which despite some injuries has been exceptional. Obviously, I do think that they do kind of get screwed with the Sale injury, although I think I probably would have picked I probably would have picked Padres in 2 anyway, because I know 1, 2, 3. I Bleav you have King going today, and then you can throw Cease at them, you can throw Musgrave at them. So I think they just have more starting pitching depth, even if Sale does pitch today, which I doubt he will. And then offensively, I think from an offensive perspective, the Padres have significantly more edges there, obviously leading in average, but then from, just isolated power, total runs scored, they have the huge edge in stolen bases. So just offensively, they're kind of firing on more cylinders on the course of the year. So Padres in 2. I don't think they're close either.
Now we're moving on to the middle rounds, which I Bleav we all picked. You and both picked the same 4 teams to win here.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to the second round, the divisional round, Astros at Guardians in the first round. And I am going to point out here that there have been a lot of issues with teams that get a first round bye in the playoffs. Last year, we saw 3 of the 4 teams that got a first round bye lose?
Yeah, I think so.
Despite probably being the better teams, which is why I'm doing something that is kind of insane to me. I am taking the Astros to beat the Guardians here in 4 game. Is it a 5-game series or is it a 7? It's 5, right?
5, yeah.
In 4.
In 4, okay.
I'm taking the Astros to win in 4 versus the Guardians. Yes, that was my prediction. Anders?
I gotta write all this down. So I'm gonna go with Guardians in 5.
Okay.
Because that's kind of interesting coming from me, because on this show I've been very open in my criticism of the Guardians starting pitching. I think people obviously know that because they weren't elite, there must have been some kind of downturn. I think it's actually been an even bigger problem than most people sort of realize. But the Astros will have spent much of the top of their lineup on Detroit, especially if it goes to 3 games, which I think it will, regardless of who wins. So I think that kind of it'll match up. The bottom of the rotation will kind of shuffle in to Cleveland, where they'll be able to get decent enough of matchups where you can get away with a little bit of stuff there from those starting end, because Cleveland still, even though they've had some kind of moments, it's still the best. It's still one of the 5 best collective bullpens in baseball, and is on a completely different level the best home bullpen in baseball, and they will get that advantage for this series. So I'm gonna take them to and the power indexes for Cleveland and the Astros I think are pretty comparable, and so I think ballpark to ballpark they'll be.
A thing for me though is just the Astros are so good in the postseason, for no reason whatsoever. The Astros could be having a really bad year, and we'll make it to the ALCS no matter what. The Astros could be having a bad year, and then we'll somehow just make it to the ALCS.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what happens here. Is just the Astros just know how to win in the playoffs. The Guardians really don't. So I'm going to take the Astros here. Although I will say, Emmanuel Clase could be a huge factor in this series.
Yeah.
He's shown his ability to pitch multiple days in a row and still produce high-level ability, which is one reason why I say if the Guardians can get out to a lead early versus the Astros, no one's beating them because Clase ain't allowing a run.
Right. If the Guardians have a good day, because the Guardians can hit for power now. That's been the theme with them all year. They've become so much more balanced now. If they can get up 3-0 or 4-1 in through the first 5 innings, even 4-2, that's really difficult to stop. I apologize for all the noise outside my window.
No, it's fine. I can't hear.
I think I'm going to take Guardians in 5, and I think what should be by and large a pretty low scoring series.
Yeah. For me, then we go over to what could be I don't understand this at all. what could be a really crazy series just because of how bad this could be for either the winners of the wild card series, in my opinion. You have Yankees versus Royals in our minds. It's gonna be Yankees versus Royals.
Yep.
And to me, I have no idea how the Yankees don't win this series in 3. Like, it's like, to me, like, I don't know because, like, the Royals will most likely not have Reagans, or like Lugo will probably not be able to play until Game 3 of this series.
Yeah.
And then Singer, if he does go and see Game 1, probably won't go Game 4. So it's in Game 3, he probably won't go to Game 4 here. So this to me screams Yankees in 3. And I don't know why it screams that, but it does. So I'm going to say, and it pains me to say because I don't like the Yankees, and no fan of this podcast likes the Yankees, but I'm going to say Yankees in 3.
I am also going to say Yankees in 3. The bullpen post-deadline has been so much better because kind of going into it, like that was kind of like the big start of the Holmes kind of mess. And then, in the past couple of weeks, he's been significantly cleaned up. Luke Weaver has transformed himself into one of the single most under-discussed and undervalued, I think, relief pitchers in baseball. And the
behind Griffin Jax.
Behind Griffin Jax, yeah. But no, so I think so. I do think that the Yankee. I think a month ago these bullpens would have been probably comparable, or maybe giving the Yankees like a half-notch edge. I think it's like a very clear 1 and 2. So I obviously think the Yankees from an offensive perspective are just kind of more balanced and slightly deeper. Obviously, I don't think the Rizzo injury will be too. I mean, obviously, we'll have to see because we don't know. I mean, obviously, if it is bet, obviously, you'd rather have Rizzo in there than Rice, both from an offensive and defense perspective. But I am going to go with Yankees in 3 here.
Now we go to Brewers at Phillies. And I've gone back and forth with this one because the Phillies rotation has been very gettable recently, and the Phillies bullpen has been atrocious very lately. And for that reason, I'm gonna take Brewers in 4 here. Because I just personally don't like the pitching staff of the Phillies that much right now. And I think their offense is good, obviously, and it's good in the postseason, but like, is it good enough to beat the Brewers? And I also just have to take into effect the fact that like the bye in the postseason has for some reason really been a factor for teams that have it.
Right.
And so for that reason, I am taking the Brewers in 4.
Yeah. No, I am taking the Phillies in 5 just on the basis of I don't think the starting lineup has been great. I think it's been good enough. The starting rotation. I think it's been good enough. I do think that, I think the Brewers have really kind of pound for pound the best bullpen in this. I think that they have the best bullpen kind of on the whole in this postseason because I think they are more balanced home and away than Cleveland, and I think they're kind of more, and they've been because of the deadline stuff for the Padres, they've been better and more meshed for longer. So I'm going to go with the Phillies in 5 though because I think the offense is still incredibly deep, incredibly balanced, and incredibly well managed. And I think I think the bullpen, as long as it's not cataclysmically bad, which to your point, at times has been a little bit of a bigger ass than you'd like. But I think if they can just keep it together and have like literally just one dreadful start in a 5-game span, I think the Phillies can kind of ride the top half of their order to some 6-3 victories. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, Anders is sticking with all divisional bye opponents here, which in Reed's memory is a very risky go here.
Yeah.
But going into that, we now have Padres and Dodgers.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this one like last year, the Dodgers faced a little brother opponent in the Diamondbacks in the second round of the playoffs that having a bye and got swept.
Yep.
This is not the same Dodgers team that got swept in the postseason last year. This is not the same team. They now have a guy named Shohei Ohtani. Don't know if you've heard of him. Don't know if you've heard of him. He's a pretty good player. And for that reason alone, I'm not picking him to Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs. Very simply, I'll say Dodgers in 4. But Dodgers in 3 is also likely. I'm gonna say Dodgers in 4 here. Anders,
Zach, so I have the completely opposite stake of you here. I'm gonna go Padres in 3. So
I love it, but that's insane.
so here's a true statement for the audience and for Zach. All right. The Dodgers starting pitching rotation is bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's bad. It's not good. Like it's not, it's not like underperforming. It's not mediocre, and it's not even just bad by standards of a championship team. It's just bad. Like their ERA 19th, WHIP 20th, walks 20th, home runs per 9 23rd. And Dodger Stadium is not exactly a pitcher friendly ballpark. So the starting rotation is not good. Like because it's a 5-game series or best out of 5. You're going to get the entire rotation. You're going to get the ugly bits at the top, and then you get the really ugly bits at the bottom. And I think just like the Padres offense, like they're just going to kind of, to me, I view this as like they're just gonna they're
gonna single them to death.
They're gonna single them to death. And they're going to single them to death for 6 innings, and then you let Adam and Scott kind of just keep everyone at bay. It's not a good rotation. Like I think this is going to be a very challenging sort of series.
Interesting. This is interesting.
This is very interesting. This is a big one. And I know
that's a take. Anders, that's a take. You're like completely like saying Shohei Ohtani isn't going to win a game in the playoffs.
Correct.
You're saying Shohei Ohtani isn't going to win a game in the playoffs. Okay. That is crazy.
It is crazy.
I love it. Like I hope you're right. I hope you're right because I don't like the Dodgers.
No, I think no. They're gonna single them to death. What's the matchup for this?
It's the divisional round, so I don't think we.
No, I know. That's right. But what would it be? I guess.
I don't know who the Dodgers starting 5 is. I don't think I can name a single guy in the Dodgers rotation. I think that's the point you're trying to make. I don't think I can name a single guy in the Dodgers rotation right now.
If so, so their last series of this Their last series of this was so it's
probably Flaherty. Would Flaherty be number one? Probably.
Yeah, Flaherty.
Or would Yamamoto be? Is Yamamoto hurt?
Yamamoto is pitching.
So probably Yamamoto and then Flaherty, right? And then Gavin Stone would be 3, or Glasnow would be 3. One of those 3.
No, Glasnow is not. He's
out. He's out.
These are the winning pitchers. So
it would be Buehler, Yamamoto, Gavin Stone. No, Gavin Stone's hurt too, isn't he? He's out for the season. So Landon Knack.
It would be Yamamoto, because Kershaw right now. Kershaw's on the 15-day IL, so we're just gonna throw him out of this. It'll be Yamamoto, Flaherty, Buehler, and Knack.
And then Bobby Miller's probably there too at some point.
Right. But then that's the thing is like that starting rotation to me is not great. Like just in terms of like what, like on the whole, I don't think it's great. And then all of the really bad guys that they used throughout the season, guess what? Now they're in the Dodgers bullpen. So they're going to be shown out there at some point. Like all those really bad guys, like that have brought them down that low, like lower than what they even should be now, which is still bad in my opinion. You can't hide them away forever, right? Unless Yamamoto goes, 7 innings. But I don't think it's going to happen because I think the Padres are going to single these guys to death, and the pitch count's going to get really high, and so so that's my big take here.
Okay, I like that play. I kind of want to go with you on that, but I'm going to stick with my picks for now. I'm not going to change it. I made my pick. I'm going to stick with it, but I love it. I really hope you're right, and I honestly hope that Brewers Padres is the NLCS, because watching Phillies fans and Dodgers fans both lose in the divisional round would be the greatest moments of my life. So but I'd love to do a podcast with Jake Arts if that happens.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see though. But anyway, moving on to the divisional round here, we both picked different games here. So let's go with our games that we picked. So Anders, you went Yankees Guardians in the ALCS.
Yep.
So if that happens, who is your pick in that series?
So this is we're in best of 7 territory now. So I am picking the Yankees to win. And for those of you, just as a spoiler, I'm going to pick the Yankees to win the World Series. But I'm going to.
I wonder if that's biased at all. Just asking.
Maybe a little bit. No, so I'm going to go Yankees. I'm going to go Yankees in 6. I'm going to go with Yankees in 6. Obviously, the Yankees, I think, and the Yankees are the 1 seed here, so they get home field advantage, and they, as I'm sure many of us know, it's probably them and the Giants that have the 2 strongest home field advantages that I think exist, just from the standpoint of like,
I would say the Phillies. Are probably.
But I mean in terms of like how the Yankees roster is constructed and how the ballpark is constructed.
Oh, that's fair.
And so I think from a baseball standpoint, in terms of fans, it's probably Citizens Bank and the Phillies. But from the standpoint of just roster, I think the Yankees kind of knock it there totally out, just from baseball. So I think I'm going to take it in 6. I think one of the losses is going to come from, I think there's going to be one game at home for Cleveland where they have a bullpen masterclass. Like a Cleveland shutout is not entirely like off the table. or like a 3-1 like bullpen masterclass where like like Gavin Williams does something stupid in 4 innings and then it's like a total shutout. That's, I think, one of these losses is going to look very like shaky for the Yankees, but I think they're going to take it in 6 and advance to the World Series.
Yeah, no, I agree. So then for me, I didn't have Yankees Guardians. I had Yankees Astros. In which case, that'd be a very fun series. Yankees Astros, and it pains me again to say it. I'm taking the Yankees in 6 in that option. I'm taking the Yankees in 6. Because I just think the Yankees are so good and their offense is electric. Their bullpen is electric. Their pitching leaves to be desired, but their starting pitching specifically leaves to be desired. And I think the Astros offense could take advantage of that. But I'm taking the Yankees in 6. With that being said, moving on to the NL side of things, Anders, you had Phillies Padres, NLCS.
Yep.
Who wins?
I was talking with someone yesterday that I was going to talk myself into doing this, and I think I'm about to. I'm going to go Padres in 7. I'm going to go Padres in 7.
Can you explain yourself on that one a little bit? I would love that. But can you explain yourself on that?
Basically, like it's going to be. I think the ugly bits of the Phillies bullpen is really going to show themselves. Again, high average teams are really good. That they get on base a ton because the Padres are number 1 in average, but in terms of just on base as a whole, they are ranked 6th. So the even if they get the best out of from like a numbers and hits allowed standpoint or whatever it is, like from Nola or Wheeler or whatever, they're not going to pitch for very long. Like they're going to have really short starts. And so I think the ugly bits of this Phillies bullpen, which I just want to make sure that I can have, 14th in ERA, 14th in WHIP, 19th in hits per 9. That's a bad stat to have against the Padres. So, and then I think starting pitching wise, even when both teams are at their best, they're comparable. And then obviously I think the Padres have the significant bullpen advantage. So I think I'm going to go with the Padres in 7 here to shock the world.
I'm going to do something I absolutely hate myself for doing. And something I've never thought I'd ever do in my life. And I can't believe I'm about to say this. I have Brewers Dodgers in the NLCS.
Yeah.
And I think if Dodgers make it to the divisional round, they are not losing to the Brewers in the NLCS, which means I am taking the Dodgers in 6 or Dodgers in 5 to beat the Brewers. And that means I am giving it a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, which would be my biggest hatred of everything on Earth, on planet Earth.
Low point.
If that is happening.
Baseball.
I would die as happens, so I hope what Anders says comes true. But I'm going Dodgers-Yankees World Series. And oh my God, I can't believe I did that. What am I doing to myself?
It's on digital record. We have video footage of you saying it.
Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Okay. Then with the World Series, I am taking the Yankees to win in 6. over the Dodgers.
I'm taking Yankees. So I have Yankees against the Padres. I'm going to take the Yankees in 6. And then what did you say you were doing?
Yankees in 6 over the Dodgers.
Okay.
I am in so much pain for doing that right now. I don't want to change everything. I don't like that. I hope you're right, Anders. I hope you're right. And I hope the Royals shock everyone and beat the Yankees in the second round.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe I did that, Anders.
So obviously I'm rooting for the Yankees. I'm obviously rooting for the Yankees. I am trying to think about who I would root for if the Yankees were to be eliminated. Realistically, if the Orioles beat the Yankees, I'd probably root for the Orioles because
I'm rooting for the Orioles all playoffs. If they get eliminated, I am rooting for anybody in the NL that is not the Dodgers or Phillies.
Yeah. The Brewers would be fun too. If it's not the Yankees, then I want it to be one of the smaller market teams just to watch like FS1 and ESPN like struggle to find ways to talk about baseball.
That too. But let's be honest here. If it's like a Padres Yankees or a Dodgers Yankees, it is going to be torture to watch sports media for like a good week.
Well, no, Padres, I'm not sure. If it's Yankees, the Yankees. So it's going to be. So what you're talking about, what's going to be insufferable? It has to be a combination of Yankees and Astros on one side, and the Dodgers and Phillies on the other. I do agree that from a media standpoint, the Yankees and the Dodgers would be the most insufferable.
It would be so hard. I would not be able to watch sports media.
I'm a Yankees fan, as you guys know. There is nothing I hate more than listening to ESPN talk about the Yankees. It's unbelievable, and I hate it when like Fox Sports does like their once every 2 months baseball segment, and it's only on the Dodgers, and it's only on Shohei. It's always on Shohei and Mookie specifically. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But that Dodgers getting swept pick, that's not a anti whatever pick. That's not an anti-establishment pick. That's a real like baseball.
No,
pick.
I agree with that. I really hope you're right. I think that'd be amazing if that happens.
That's a controlled pick, I promise.
So there you have it. Anders has Yankees in 6 over the Padres. I have Yankees in 6 over the Dodgers, and I hate myself for saying it. And there you have it. That is our 2024 MLB Postseason Predictions, brought to you by us. Thank you very much. Brought to you by the Nerd Sphere Sports Podcast. It would be, but no, we're really excited for this. Obviously, thank you for tuning in. We will have the bracket graphic posted at some point in the next day when I get home. But with that, Anders, I would love for you to do the sign off for us.
Yes. Oh man, this is this was really fun. Yeah, we'll get the graphics up, and we have recordings of this, so we'll probably we'll do check-ins and see how stupid. I have all written down. We'll see how stupid this all looks, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, let's sign this bad boy off, Zach. It's great to see you as always. This has been episode 18 of the Bleav in Twins podcast on the Bleav Network. I have been your host, Anders Pryor, alongside my wonderful co-host, analyst, and Twins expert, Zac Tipton. You can download all of our content and all other Bleav Network content that you consume on the Bleav.com website. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you consume your sports media throughout the week. If you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when Zac and I are posting content all throughout the offseason. Go Twins, as always. I'll throw a Go Padres in there so I don't look too stupid. Zac, great to see you. We will see you guys sometime very soon. Signing off.